Wednesday night PGA show from Osimo.com. I'm Ben Raza. He's Jason Roslin. We've got a good tournament. I'm actually really excited to talk about this. Wells Fargo. Chad is in rare form already, as they always are. We got a lot to talk about.
Well, it's probably my fault.
You had to
like
rile
9
him up.
minutes late, so
Nah,
we'll cut Chad a little slack here.
No worries. Yeah, I had to get some hockey bets in. It's been a long day. The Derby favorite got scratched. I'm all frazzled. What can you do? But we're here to talk about golf. This is one of my favorite tournaments that's not a major. I absolutely love Quail Hollow. What about you? Did you enjoy the pseudo bye week with just Europe?
Yeah, we talked on the show last week about using field ranks, and it really helped me last week. Find Sean Crocker. I just played the tee to green angle with it being such a hard golf course. And it worked out for me. Obviously, Crocker was about 2% owned in every contest, and I had him about 40% across the board. It was all over Surrey, obviously, as well. So really good week. I wish I went more into EVR. Excuse me, sorry, just getting through my dinner here, I guess. I wish I had a little bit more EVR. He was a perfect fit for the course. And Campillo, you and I talked about in the model that I made, he was actually number one in the model, but one of the things that I wanted to bring up with you is this is not the first time recently we've seen a high-priced guy win, and he be nowhere near the top of GPP lineups. Like, cannot find him in any of the top lineups. What do you make of this? Is this a strategy, or is this just a byproduct of guys like Crocker at 7,500 coming in second and being at least somewhat owned?
I think it's a little bit of both. In Europe, it's interesting because the cut is so low in terms of six for six. You can kind of get it where if there's a dead range, the way it's structured, like sometimes it's almost impossible to have the winner and have a 6 of 6 unless you're taking some real randos. So the way it fell, a lot of the Campillo was funneled to what's his name, Shriver, Jason
Scrivener, yeah, and he was like 40% owned. It was crazy.
Arnews, those guys were really popular. They made a lot of sense with someone like Campillo, and they torpedoed those lineups.
Yeah,
he was, if you had him, it would have been a beyond a runaway. I was on the complete opposite wavelength in the sense I had some good 6 of 6s through, and they just couldn't score at all. Zanotti, Kiefer, just miserable scoring. Schwab was I had EVR, I had Matthias Schwab, who was very helpful. I thought I should have got more out of it. It was actually kind of frustrating because you see, oh man, I'm playing against 4 of 6s and I have 6 of 6s. But that's something we have to keep in mind, not just in Europe. When you get hard courses, the penalty for a miscut just isn't as severe because you're not going to pick up streaks, you're not going to pick up bonuses, and guys are going to be shooting 3, 4, 5 over.
For sure, and we're going to have something similar to that this week. And I also think, before we move on, just about Campillo winning at 10-7, it's more of a byproduct also of you had EVR, Surrey at 9-2 and 9-3 or 9-5, both come in second place and both score within 5 or 10 points of Campillo. So it's not like, Campillo had that winning score, right? Obviously he had the winning points, but he didn't score that many more DraftKings points comparatively. So definitely kind of an interesting note there that I kind of saw. We saw that at the Millionaire Maker for the Masters, Tiger Woods at the relative same price as Campillo last week. Again, not in the winning lineup. And, I saw somebody on Twitter talk about possibly changing the finishing scoring points from DraftKings and making it a little bit more top-heavy to first place. What do you make of that? I mean, should the winner be in a Millionaire Maker lineup? Like, should Tiger Woods have been in that lineup?
I never thought that was a problem because I didn't think it was possible. And obviously I've been proven wrong in giant field tournaments. When people would have asked me that before, and I always say, smaller field, you can get by. Maybe you don't have the winner. But we've seen that's not the case. And it is just surprising. I don't know exactly if it's just an outlier that we won't see and it's a little blip right now. But I do feel like they need to do maybe a little more if this is going to be the case. Because if you're hitting the winner you would think someone, even if it's a small percentage guy, would be on the optimal lineups in terms of these large field GPPs. But we haven't seen that recently.
Yeah, and again, we had, and I hate to kind of force that point, but we had Xander Schauffele and Brooks Koepka come tied for
Yeah,
second, who were at 9,300 and 8,700, very similar to what I just said about Julian Siri and EVR. If you got a guy at 10-7, you can only get one of those
exactly.
guys, if maybe even not one of them, if you're doing a balanced build. So I guess it's a lot better to get Koepka and Schauffele than it is Tiger and, say, whoever was, the next guy you could have paired with Tiger, go down the list, Matt Kuchar maybe at the Masters, just thinking off the top of my head. Campillo, you nailed it. The first guy you're going to put in your lineup after Campillo is more than likely going to be Scrivener or Arnaus, and there you go. They both missed the cut, where if you went to EVR and you went to Surrey, you may not have had to really go to Scrivener. And I'm probably saying his name wrong.
Yeah, he doesn't deserve to get his name right. That was a poor showing.
That was horrid, absolutely horrid. So, all right, let's turn our attention this week, and it's similar in nature to the fact that it is one of the hardest courses on tour, so we're going to get another grinded out week. I love this week. Now, will we get it where we start Friday at +1 and it goes all the way to +4? Maybe. It could happen. That was pretty crazy last week if you did play Euro.
Brutal conditions over there.
I feel like we ask for that over here a lot. Like, hey, please get to 3, please get to 3, and it never does. In Euro, it's like almost a guarantee to happen when it starts to go bad.
It's just a different animal over in all things. You see guys, I love that, because if you see it, like, not to go back to Euro, but like Jordan Smith, he shoots, I think, 7 under on Thursday.
Yep.
You could be 10, 15 strokes back. You post a 68 and he shoots 4 over. You're like tied with him. It's unbelievable how fast it can change.
And it's so funny that the guys on Thursday in these smaller fields, or not smaller fields, weaker fields in Euro, you almost can guarantee they're not going to be there at the end of the day on Friday. I mean, it's crazy. Really is crazy on Euro. Okay, so now we will transition. Let's talk about Quail Hollow. You mentioned how much you like the course. It does. It sets up really well. We had a PGA Championship here. It's just fun. It's exciting. It's a grind. 3 over par was the cut here last year. You made the weekend if you shot 3 over. So tell me what you like about the course.
Yeah, I think you kind of just touched upon it. It's a tough test, but I think it's fair. There's a lot of different holes. There's long par 4s. There's some short par 4s, which I always like. You can take advantage of the par 5s. It kind of tests everything. Bombing helps. I think we realize that, but it's long. It's a firm test. It's not overly, they could tune it up. We saw that with the PGA. Obviously, when they grow out that Bermuda, as a different animal. But here, I really do like it because you can go low, but it's not a birdie fest by any stretch. And I've done well here. So obviously that makes it better. It's no coincidence that I've done well and Rory loves the course, because I always play him anyway. So there you go.
Yeah. So what was it? 2016?
Yeah. Roberto Castro.
Yeah. Okay. So first and foremost that this course, it sets up where if you are striking the ball really well, and you go look at 2015 Rory when he gained 95 strokes ball striking, it was probably one of the best statistical ball striking performances we've seen in so long. You can get it done so many different ways. Then you look at the other winners here, and it's around the green, it's putting, it's off the tee. Rarely is it approach, which I like in the sense that I don't have to necessarily have a guy that's super hot with his irons to play well here. You can get a guy that drives the ball well, putts the ball well to kind of get you through the weekend. So nice thing. We'll transition into the golfers and quickly before we do, as we check in on the weather. Thankfully for me, I've been overplaying it a bit. I actually played it right last week in Euro, but there's nothing we can do this week, which is great. It's going to be calm conditions both days, perfect for scoring, but I still think we're going to see an over par cut. You seen the same thing, obviously, on your end?
Yeah, this is a week I'm not worrying about anything with the weather. It's still going to play hard. It's just a tough course. There's no doubt about it, but ideal scoring conditions, guys will be able to make, you keep it, you can attack. If you keep it in the fairway, you have some long irons unless you're really bombing it, but there's no doubt that this is a pretty fair test.
Yeah, absolutely.
The dog agrees.
I guess my dog agrees. I apologize. I thought I had shut the door, but I guess somehow my door got open. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, go. I'll lead it off. I'll start talking about Rory.
Yeah. You can certainly start talking about Rory, as obviously comes in 6-1 as the betting favorite. So
yeah, which is just ridiculous. But obviously he dominates the course. We're gonna break down the pricing. The thing is, I wanted to really jam him 11-8 though. You start clicking him in at 11-8, and all of a sudden you're immediately hamstrung. So that was my first thought when I really went to build today. Was, man, the opportunity cost on Rory is gigantic.
Yeah, even right when you plug them in, 11-8, right? So you go right off the bat, your average remaining is 7,600. And granted, we like Keith Mitchell, I'm sure. We like a guy, like Sam Burns. You still need three other 7K guys. You can't even get an 8K guy going, the two that I just mentioned. Sure, go down to Harold Varner, the home street narrative. We'll talk about him in a bit. Even still, it's really hard to get, say, Rory with Tony Finau this week. It's I won't say impossible, but it's very hard because the field is so top heavy. And I forgot to mention this at the top. It's probably going to be a little bit shorter of a show just because we have like 12 really good golfers, and then the field almost drops off. It's almost like there's not a lot of golfers between 70 official world golf ranking and 120. It goes from 12, and then there's a decent amount from 30 to 60, and then boom, it drops off. So maybe a little bit of a quicker. However, let's talk about the chalk above 9K, and then we'll go into some tee times that we like. But you mentioned Rory. I think there's going to be three other guys that get pretty close to 20% or over: Finau, Woodland, and Rose. Four guys. Rory's price tag is a little difficult. How about Finau and Woodland though? I'm anointing them the chalk brethren because no matter what price they are, people play them over 20%. So the chalk brethren, and then we got Rory and Rose. So what are you thinking with the 9K and above chalk?
Yeah, Finau and Woodland are both very solid plays. Feel cash viable if you go balanced. They're plenty long. They're playing well. The course should fit them. There's really nothing not to like. It's just if you play them, you're not going to be able to get, Rory or Rose or someone like that. Rose is a wild card to me. Obviously, he was awful at the Masters. We've seen, he's been a little skeptical of where his game is at. He says he likes where it's going. Bethpage is 2 weeks away, so time to get it right is, you can't be messing around here. I think he's going to play well. I certainly have plenty of Rose. I was hoping that maybe I would get a discount in the ownership just because of, he's awful at the Masters, but I'm not sure that's the case. I have a feeling he's still going to be decently popular just because it is a pretty appealing starting point.
It is. I can't deny that, especially with the discount in price that you're getting. Here's the one thing I'll say about Rose is that, sure, read what you want about the tweet and the PGA Tour I put out to you this morning. I can't wait to ask you about Justin Rose and he's not really your boy. You just have said that in times when he's playing good, you like to pick him first. He's so steady. This year, though, he's had two missed cuts, some 60th place finishes. He bounces back after the Desert Classic and wins at the Farmers, and we haven't seen a good really start since, except for the Players where he came in 10th. It's too inconsistent for me right now. I feel like you can get similar upside with Fowler for $300 more, and it looks like maybe a discount in ownership. And, of course, you get the full ownership on Osmo.com if you don't have a premium membership. But it looks like about 3% discount for Fowler. So it's very interesting to definitely see that. I like Fowler over Rose here personally.
I have no problem with Ricky. It's tough. Ricky and Day are just kind of sitting there, and of course they make fine plays. It's just you've got Rory. I wanted to make sure I got some of him because he's incredible. You've got Rose, who I just talked about. Decky, I still think I'm hoping he's maybe a little lost because he's overpriced. But at the same time, it's Decky. We saw him play well here. I know the PGA was a different setup, but he did play very well. He should have won a major there. So I went to Decky in a lot of spots and just started with him.
Yeah, and I found it interesting. These three guys, Fowler, Decky, and Day, they're all looking like they're going to come in about 15%. So, pretty easy, I would say, to go out and get your 2.5 or 3x if you want to start here. I think it's definitely viable. Let's talk about Tony Finau just for a minute, if you don't mind. For me, he sets up really well. I know he's going to be the highest guy, owned of the week, 25% possibly, maybe even a little bit more. But at 9-3, we know he's going to win soon, right? I mean, he's got to, right? He's got to win soon. I mean, for goodness sakes. Do you like him as much as I do this week, or did you find yourself paying a little bit more for the other guys?
It's not that I don't like him. I didn't overhaul my lineups to get the leverage that I think I probably need with him.
60%, something in that range, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have that. I have, I'll probably come in around like 30% fee now, and I'm not sure that's going to be a huge position. Paul Casey's the other guy there. We saw a friend of the show asked in chat about the questionable tag. I think that was just a typo on DraftKings' part. He should be fine as far as I know. But he's another one. You mentioned Rose. These guys used to be consistent. Mm-hmm. Paul Casey is as volatile as they come. Like, he used to be, you play him in cash and just leave it. He is all over the map. He's winning. He's getting cut. I don't really understand what's going on.
It almost seems like Rose and Casey, both situations, used to be cash game cornerstones, and now you almost can only play him in GPPs. When Jason Day has the withdrawal risk. So that's why I to be honest, and I think you're in the same boat as me. I don't play a ton of cash, but I will say that if you tried to make a balanced lineup, I didn't really like the looks of it with Paul Casey and Justin Rose, and it doesn't seem that balanced anymore. It seems too volatile. So
yeah, I played cash. I don't play a ton of cash, but I've certainly played, and I started with fee now. That's just how I think I wanted to structure it this week.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So I'll touch on a few of the tee times before we head down to some leverage spots above 9K and the chalk and the 8K. One of them that stuck out to me, we like to try and draft, but it was really difficult. I was pretty pissed when I saw Casey Reed and Matsuyama. I'm just not playing Casey quite yet. He's too volatile for me, and it looks like his ownership is going to be like 10 to 15%. So I'm not really nervous if he goes out and wins. It won't hurt that much. But that upset me. Mickelson, Day, and Varner. I'm very surprised that people want to pile into Mickelson at 9K. Aren't you? I mean, I understand the course history is really good. Are you playing him a decent amount, or what's your stance on Mickelson?
I mean, I usually have 0%, so I'll say that I have more than that, which is a shock. The thing about Phil, and I get it, it's like, he scores so well, he loves the scores. Yeah, that's all true. The miscut equity is still across the board with him, no matter where he goes, just because of the way he plays. So if he's going to garner some steam and ownership, I'm still going to take a pretty skeptical approach. It also didn't really fit into what I wanted to do in terms of you have real trouble to me starting like Ricky lefty. That's a tough sell. I know you can do it, but it's still, the back end of your lineup is going to be a little dicey.
For sure. And two guys I'll mention, two of our guys that we'll call them our guys just because we like to play them. Not much, but we do like to roster these guys. Going out first, so maybe a first-round leader bet for each you and I to throw on is Ollie Schneiderjan's going out on the front, and your boy Ryan Blom's going out on the back. Again, we're not telling you to go out and roster these guys on DK. I will have a share of Ollie for sure. I'll probably even have a share of Blom myself, but they're going out first, 7 o'clock, bright and early in the morning. First tee time we'll get is the Casey Reed, Matsuyama, Mickelson, Dave Varner the third, as I just mentioned. Afternoon, we got Webb, Rose, and Fowler. Kind of do like that. It's hard to go Fowler Webb or Rose Webb. It really is. But I did find myself doing a couple. And then the next one, I had to force in Finau McIlroy just because it sounds sexy. It was really hard. You had to average about 7,200 a player, but I found four guys that I was comfortable with, so I did a couple of those as well. How about you? Are you as daring as me in that sense, or?
I did that in certain spots. I jammed Rose and Decky in a couple of lineups that I really like, and it was tough, but I made it work. And I mean, you're going to see someone probably go out. JT Poston's playing with Blom, who's the guy. Good driver of the ball. He's playing better. Step up, but he's starting to consistently. We've both kind of talked about him. I think he's a guy we're going to see he's not going to make the finals of the FedEx Cup, but he should be making, beyond the 125 each year, maybe makes it to the second or third leg.
What do we only have 3 legs this year?
Is it only 3? So
yeah, I forgot about 125, 130. I think it goes to this year.
Oh wow, that's a huge jump. So I'd like to see him get into the top 100.
I really shouldn't speak because I'm not really too sure. I think that's just my guess. I know they got rid of Boston, so
everything I say on the show is that. So if you say it confidently, nobody knows. Or if they do, they'll tell you on Twitter, so it doesn't matter. Anyway,
all right. So yeah, let's go to the leverage spot. 2 spots above 8K. All right, I'll throw Patrick Reed in there. So 3 spots. Sergio Garcia and Henrik Stenson for sure are going to be under 10% owned. Can you stomach playing either of these guys? I know the course doesn't really set up well for them, but did they make your lineups? I mean, for the $5, they almost have to, at least in 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah, for something like that, just because discounted, they definitely have some win equity. Sergio's a guy I wanted to play. It's just talk about brutal price. I mean, at least Stenson, you're like, okay, I can make it work. He can be a clear second man in. Even Reed, I found myself going to Reed just on, he likes this course. I know he's not playing well, but Sergio's a brutal ask. I mean, he's probably your one if you use him. And yeah. I mean, I would rather find the money for anybody or just take a $600 discount to Finau.
Yeah.
So he's in no man's land.
So of those guys I just mentioned, we're talking about the last 7 weeks now. Only one time have any of the 3 of them scored over 75 DraftKings points. And it was Sergio Garcia 5 weeks ago. I don't even know where it was. But anyways, he scored 79.5 DraftKings points. It's a tough sell for me when I could go down to Finau, who 97 at the Masters, 85 weeks ago at the Players, 70 points when he came in last place in the field at Valero. He just scores. And when we're talking about DK points, obviously, I just found myself going to Finau. So I know that there's leverage there, but I found leverage other places. So, all right, let's move down to the 8K chalk, and let's see if you're playing any. We talked about Mickelson. Seems like you are. Kokrak. Our boy hung on, and seems like everybody's tee to green guy hung on. And then Lucas Glover, who burned a lot of people last week. Seems like these guys are all going to be about 15 to 20%. Did you find yourself playing any overweight, or what's your stance on these guys?
Betting on again.
Yeah, just go right back to it, right?
I really am. And I get into this tendency, and I don't know if it's misguided, but I'll say this. You look at Benny on, he had made 15, 20 cuts in a row.
Yep.
Last week, look at his stats. He lost 8 strokes off the tee. It was so extreme.
Into the Atlantic.
Like, it was so extreme, I almost don't mind it because it was just, that's as big of an outlier as you're ever going to find. So I would assume he will just get back. This is a good course for him. I know he hasn't shown it, but he's plenty long. He's a great scrambler. Obviously, the putting is an issue. We know that, but I'm going to go back. Now, if he plays bad here, that would be very disappointing. And then you're going to have to reevaluate going forward, but not going to jump off because of two triple bogeys on Friday just ended him.
Ridiculous.
It was very bad.
Yeah, it sure was. So, how about Lucas Glover? You going back to him, who had again, we said this on the show at the RBC. If you play Lucas Glover and he's chalk, he's going to miss the cut. This week, it looks like he's going to be about 10%, maybe 15%.
I have some, but I'll say I one-offed with CH3, who I think you're going to get as a fraction of the ownership. Guy's just playing very well. Went to Augusta and showed, obviously, he was an Augusta guy. Just consistent year, and I think for me, I don't see that much difference between the two. Mm-hmm. No problem really with Glover. Certainly in a vacuum, we've seen him play well here. He's got some ties. It's just I'm not sure like in the $5 in a big tournament. I'll mix and match because there are other options in the lower 8K besides Benny on.
Yeah, and let's get right to those guys. I think I won't be the only ones that like him. It looks like one of these guys' ownership has skyrocketed, which really isn't surprising. And we'll start with him, and it's Aaron Wise, 8,100 on DraftKings. But get this. 8,500 on FanDuel. He's going to be about 1,000,000% owned.
Yep.
I'll take the under on that, but still, he's going to be 50 or 60% owned possibly. In the 500, he could be 80%.
I have him on there. Yep. It's hard not to.
It's hard not to. He's a quality player. He came in second here last year. He's coming off a really good start at Augusta. He's got the length. So, yeah, it makes total sense. And there's a couple of guys. Luke List is in the same kind of boat, and so is Johnny Vegas. All priced in this low 8K range. Keegan Bradley doesn't maybe hit the ball as long as the other 3 guys do, but certainly can be looped in. I'm not going to lie. I like all 4, and I'm playing all 4 this week.
You can make a case. So, Johnny, I wanted to ask him about your boy from the Players just
Yeah.
making 90-foot putts
Yeah,
on whatever.
he is.
Just
Yeah, he is.
he's one. Yeah, he's got plenty of length. These guys, they set up well. For me, Wise is my favorite. I was really disappointed to see him steaming with ownership. I thought that it could be tempered, but the combination of the really good finish here last year, the master showing, and his game truly sets up. His best club is the driver, and you're going to lean on that in this spot. So I have
And he's
him. I
gaining.
use List. I'm with you.
Yeah, he's Wise is gaining popularity. I noticed among some of the sharper players and among some of the high rollers. And I'm not going to say they're the judge of ownership, but certainly if you start to see ownership creep up in the 300, 400, 500, 1500s, the 5300, if you start to see ownership creep up there of these, I'm not going to call them lower tier guys. I'll call them second tier golfers. Normally, that means the ownership in the smaller contests is going to start trending up as well, and we're starting to see that with Wise. He was really talked about as a cheaper option at Augusta, and was one of the best price per dollars behind Justin Harding. So, yeah, I understand Wise. I would have loved to see it around 10, but at the 17% that it is, you're probably only going to get 2x. Yeah, it sucks,
That's
doesn't it?
insane.
Yeah. Luke List is around 15%. The dude lost about 90 strokes putting at the RBC. It was god awful, but we know he's one of the best ball strikers. You think that means Keegan Bradley goes under owned, or do you think it's Vegas that goes under owned? Because not all four of them, with Benny on right there, not all four of them can be owned over 10%, can they?
No, I would say that those are the two that are going to be under on. Vegas to me would be the lowest
Yep.
of all them. Keegan's the one I don't know. It's tough. There are some guys you don't get right, and Keegan's one of them. He's very consistent. I use him in cash a lot. But man, the term full Keegan is a real thing. Like you can research that. He invented that for a good reason. It's just very hard to go there. I think for me, I'll stick with the other guys. Wise in particular, though, is becoming more and more polarizing just because as good as he's playing, and I'm a huge Aaron Wise fan, he's still shown, and I can attest to this early in the year, he's got a lot of miscut equity too. So
Yep.
if you're seeing that really get to a critical mass, you might be, I don't want to say wise, but to pivot off that and maybe take a stand.
Yeah, one of the pivots that I think is not a bad option. He has a win this year. He has a win here as well. Earlier in his career, hasn't been in great form. I mean, the last 4 starts, he hasn't eclipsed 44 DraftKings points. So there's nothing really telling me that it's going to change in a heartbeat, other than he's 7% owned, a previous winner, and bombs the ball. This JB Holmes,
yeah.
7% sitting there. It's a good pivot. It's a GPP play. I think maybe he's a little short for, maybe a big dollar contest, but he's probably going to be under 5% owned. So he could be a really good leverage play at 7,900. Zach Johnson, his stats really stick out to a lot of people, but he's playing against weak fields. He's been in like almost every weak field. So I'm not in on Zach Johnson. Yeah, I'm not in. I got to be honest. I think you and I have pretty much not played him for the most part this year. I'm going to go just play Keith Mitchell, who's won this year, who hits the ball literally 100 yards further than Zach Johnson. I am not even joking. He hits the ball probably close to 100 yards further. He's going to be chalky as well, about 14%. Kind of sucks. It sounds like, a lot of these guys, we're not the only ones on him this week. We're going to need to find leverage, probably a little lower. But at 7,800 and above, who do you want to cover that I haven't?
So this is where I get into trouble this week. Because, Killer Keith is going to be popular. Mm-hmm. I don't know how this keeps happening to me. You know who I'm on? Is Daniel Berger.
Yeah, well, again, not bad this week.
I hope not. I've been disappointed with this year. Obviously, Rory Sabatini's right there, who's playing well. I wouldn't fault anyone for going there, but Berger is a project of mine. He's consistently gaining off the tee. His irons are consistently bad, which is the problem. And he's been putting, he can putt. I don't worry about that. So if he can just hold these irons together, I think this is a better course than most people think for him. It's not ideal. There's no doubt. Obviously, he's more of a St. Jude's guy, as we've seen, I guess. But I'm going to him here. I think if he had a little better form, we'd see him creep into the 8s, and you're not going to get a ton of ownership. So that's really where I am. Chad asked about Roberto Castro. I really have no feel for him. I know he played well here in 2016. He should have won, lost to Hahn. I'm not really there, to be honest. Do you have any feel with him this week?
Well,
I
he
use
hasn't
the bucket
played,
hat man instead.
yeah, he hasn't played well recently, and I got to be honest. I think that the changes to the golf course, which I forgot to fail to mention at the top of the show, they happened at the end of the 2016, before the 2017 PGA, and it made the course, I'm going to say, a shot and a half to 2 shots harder for golfers that don't hit the ball long. It made the first hole a 540-yard par four. That's a shot and a half right there. So I think that really hurt Roberto Castro. We'll see if I'm right or wrong here. He has not played it since. He hasn't played it in the last 2 years, so we'll see. We'll see if that helps or hurts him. I'm not really sure. I'm still. I said last week on the show, or 2 weeks ago, I don't think Daniel Berger is a top class golfer. I think that he won the FedEx St. Jude twice. I understand that, and I know that he competed in the U.S. Open, which is one of the, but he had the best tee time discrepancy at that tournament. So, anyways, I think he's okay for this tournament. 7,700 is a little bit expensive for me. I would rather play Trey Mullinax and JT Poston, who have both played well this year at 7,500 and probably both drive the ball a bit better than him. I would even go down to a guy like Wyndham Clark,
I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah, who's probably going to end up being one of my favorite plays of the week. He's 5% owned, so it's not like we're getting a 10%, which is one of my other favorite plays in Sam Burns. One thing I like about Wyndham Clark and Trey Mullinax and Sam Burns, I'll say all three of them, and this was part of my write-ups today. I'll give you a little sneak peek for those who are not also members. This is, both Ben and I, we put out kind of our premier articles where we talk about the plays that we're going to do. And these three guys I just mentioned, they all have a driving distance that's top 10 in the field. They all are top 10 in the field in putting inside of 10 feet. And then also Clark and Burns have made 4 straight cuts, and Mullinax has made 2 straight cuts. So all of them seem to be coming in good form. All absolutely mash the golf ball, and all putt good inside of 10 feet, which is, you're going to need that here to get to the weekend. So those were really my 3 main focal points in this area. Do you like any of the 3?
I do. Mullinax is the guy that, it's not that I don't like him. I just think he's going to be popular, and I went elsewhere for the most part because I had a lot of plays. Poston, we talked about. Wyndham Clark. Now we get in again. This is where the show gets off the rails because Fratelli is there at 74.
Yeah, here we go. Yep.
Obviously, I'm going to talk about him because I play him every week. He can handle this course. There's no doubt. Then I have 2, and this is talk about, now we're really off in the distance. So we have Neiman there, who I couldn't really get to because he's just playing terribly.
So bad.
But if there is a time, and we don't have the stats, but Kyle Stanley is showing life.
Oh, no.
Now, he was good at the Masters.
Oh, no.
We don't know exactly what that was.
Oh, no.
If his form is back, Kyle Stanley, these are long par 4s. He's one of the best around at those. I'm buying on Kyle Stanley at 7.5 and hoping that this is the catalyst that he's starting to trend where he should be, because he's a better player than he's shown, obviously, this year.
Listen, maybe that made cut at the Valero, even though he came in 52nd. Maybe that's what he needed. 21st at the Masters, he put up 75 DraftKings points. So, hey, that's pretty good. A 7,500 Kyle Stanley at a course where that his length plus accuracy off the tee that he's gotten at over the last few years, we're talking under 5% ownership for a guy that's won a golf tournament in the last 16 months. Yeah, man, I'm right there with you. I like Kyle Stanley in this area. I like pairing him with Clark. If you're going Rory Finau, I think he's a great third piece to it. If it was the beginning of the season, Kyle Stanley would be 8,800. So you would not be able to get those 3 guys. We've seen him turn the clock. And here's another guy right on the same boat that I think is important to talk about is Ches Reavie. He's 7,400, sits right below. He came in 22nd year at the PGA Championship. We know he's a form golfer. We saw him pop that form at the RBC Heritage, came in 28th. Is it kind of the same argument to get back into Ches Reavie too, or are we more inclined for Kyle Stanley just because he possesses maybe a little more length?
I'm more apt for Kyle Stanley just because, again, I think he's more suited to handle this course in particular. I get the concept. There's a lot of plays, and I think I'm not going to be the only one,
Yep.
a lot of my lineups got funneled where I needed like 2 or 3 guys
These
from
guys.
7-2 to 7-6. So there's a bunch where I mixed and matched here, and it ranged from guys that I feel pretty good about, like Clark, all the way down to egregious people like Danny Lee, one-offs, things like that, and that's as low as I got. Sam Burns is a guy that you have been on him. I am on him now this week. I hope I don't derail Sam Burns because he really does set up well, and he's another cheap option for everyone.
Yeah, he sure is. And we got a question before we came in our Slack chat about Adam Hadwin, specifically for cash. Do you think this course is too long to play Adam Hadwin in cash? Valspar, Innisbrook is pretty close to it. We see him win there. So Hadwin for cash, Hadwin for GPP, Hadwin at all.
I don't mind it for cash.
Okay.
If you go balanced, I'm not sure you need Hadwin. Like you can end higher than that if you want to. But say you're saying, you know what, Rory is so good. I want to go Rory in cash, and I think that's acceptable. You can end with a guy like Hadwin, no problem. And I get that. He's still a good golfer. I don't think this is the best course for him, but at the same time, he's making cuts. And you've said there are some comps. He can handle this length even if it's not the perfect setup.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, let's see. You mentioned Danny Lee as a one-off. How about any other core plays in above 7,200? Or even really any other core plays that you want to talk about, even below 7,200? There are a couple of names that I have in mind as well.
So this is what's wrong with this tournament, I guess. I want to mention this guy as possibly a core play / ask you if I should even be playing him.
Okay.
Matt Jones at 7,200 is another guy who, I don't like to base it off guys I do and don't play, but I haven't had a ton of Matt Jones exposure over the year. He's making cuts, but now he's starting to, I don't want to say threaten, but he is grabbing a piece of placement points. Made, let's see, 7 straight cuts, striking it really well off the tee. Good at farmers, which I think is pertinent here. I'm there. He's the same price as Sam Burns, so that is another option. Other than that, though, I'll pass it to you. We've mentioned HV3. When you get into the sixes, it is absolutely brutal. I did not see a ton down there.
No, honestly, I think the best place came from after DraftKings put out the player pool and they added players to it on a below 7K.
Your boy Chip.
Yeah, Chipper.
Guy.
We'll talk about Chip in a minute here. After I talk about Matt Jones, he made my player pool. In fact, he's on one of my higher dollar teams. I think he's that 7 straight cuts for a guy that's ranked in the top 30 in the field and driving distance, 50th in tee to green on the year, which puts him like top 10%, I believe, in the field. So definitely like the Matt Jones call. I think it's a really good call there. As we dip a little lower, Varner has come out and said how much he loves playing in front of his home crowd. This is his home course. He's had some decent success. I mean, nothing great here. Let me just verify that.
Yeah, it hasn't been great.
51st and 24th in his last 2. It's not bad. I mean, for 7K, but honestly, I'd probably take it. Next guy I like 6.8K is Hank Lebioda.
Yeah, this guy, I have some of him. I think he's a Florida State guy. That's the extent of what I know about him.
Yep. He's a lefty, if I'm not mistaken. Which I don't know if you like that or not. He sucks at putting. He's one of the worst putters in the field. So makes me a little nervous here because you're definitely going to need that. But let's talk about Chip McDaniel. So here's a guy at the University of Kentucky, and he certainly competed with the best of them in college. But he's trying to do it the TJ Vogel way, I guess. I don't really know many other people that did it this way. And what I'm talking about is he's trying to Monday qualify, get as many points as he can, and get himself into the Web.com Tour Finals, which would make him skip out on Web.com Q School, which is really difficult. So interesting. He needs a 50th place finish or better at some point for the rest of the year. So he needs to Monday qualify, of course. If he makes the cut this week and comes in the top 40, he's automatically qualified, so he wouldn't have to do it again. Definitely interesting to watch. On his Monday qualify, he won by 3. He shot 65, and he made no putt longer than 10 feet. And he came out and said this on Twitter. So obviously his approach game is just absolutely on the money. At 6,400, I think he's in play for sure.
I mean, there's no one really down there, so
Right.
if you can make unique lineups by taking a guy, and I, I mean, I look, so just a couple names I'll throw out.
Yep.
Johnson Wagner is a local guy. He's played this course hundreds of times. I guess you could go there. He's playing all right.
Yeah, his brother like runs the ticketing thing or something like
Yeah,
that. I heard Harold Varner say it's definitely some local ties to the course.
I'm skeptical of that stuff. I remember they said Webb sleeps at Eagle Point, and then he missed the cut. So I don't want to hear about all that nonsense.
Webb lives on this course, doesn't
he?
Yeah,
good.
He lives on the 14th hole, I think. Yeah.
I don't have time for this nonsense. We got Jonas Blick 6'9". I mean, this is as desperate. I'll give one more, and these are when I mention these guys, I'm talking about. I have some exposure in the lotto style. Carlos Ortiz is playing well off the tee. I use Genesis as a comp. He played really well at Genesis. That was one of his best finishes ever. But I mean, you are grasping at straws. And I'll just to give kind of what you're saying, at least with your guy, you're in a different price point. Like I would rather find the $100 and go get Varner. At least with someone like Chip McDaniel, you're in I mean, there's nobody else down there. I mean,
one name that you and I have talked about this year that has been terrible, and we've been waiting for him to break through. We know he's got the talent. We know he hits the ball a tremendously long way, and that's Cam Davis. He's the same price as Chip McDaniel.
That guy,
what the hell happened?
I started playing him apparently because that guy, I didn't even know who he was, and then every week it's like there's 9% of my lineups down the drain because I play Cam Davis, and I get sucked back in. His driving, he looks, in theory, if he starts to play a little better, like he could be a decent fit for a course like this.
I certainly agree. Another one that I loved at the beginning of the season, who's been just dead to the world, has been Anders Albertson. Like he's another guy that was supposed to be good. What are these guys ever going to break through again, or are they going to be on the web next year again?
Well, that guy has been awful.
Awful.
He killed us both at Waste Management.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, really low. It's pretty tough. I honestly, and again, I'm not advocating that people do this. I would rather play Doc Redman, who's just at least he's got some pedigree to him. But I'm not looking to do much of any of this. I think for me, I'm ending in the high sixes, and that's even when I got pretty aggressive.
Yeah, I'll say one other thing. Tom Lovelady drives the ball a tremendous
way.
He's in the worst category you could be in. He's in that 150 range that didn't really have a job, didn't get one, didn't really get. I don't even know if he got to go to the web finals. I think he got to go, and he either didn't play in it. I'm not really sure. Anyways, he's here this week. He bombs the ball. I'll maybe have a share or two. He's at total absolute min price. One other guy, literally, here's what I did for these last couple of picks. I was like, all right, sort by driving distance. Show me somebody who's the lowest ranked driving distance guy. And we find Seth Reeves.
Yeah, he's a lefty too.
Yeah, he's a lefty. He's ranked, what is he, like 4th in driving, just 11th in driving distance this year. So if you're really stretching, go ahead and go with Seth Reeves. But, I mean, the guy hasn't – let's see, he made the cut 18th at, what was that, Punta Cana, I'm guessing, when they had the match play? Yeah.
Yeah,
he's Dominican.
Played. His name is flashed a little. Yeah, he was 18th. That's surrounded by a lot of miscuts. He played well at Sanderson Farms. Huge step up for a guy like that. But you're not going to find anything down here. So if you go down there,
Martin Trainer's another guy that absolutely launches the ball. Who won that event? Yeah, maybe a little Martin Trainer if you're really going to go that way. But that's about it. So let's talk quickly about our other sites, FanDuel and Yahoo. And Yahoo, obviously, they're growing the other products and trying to grow golf as well. But we'll talk about FanDuel first. We already brought up Aaron Wise. Grotesque. I mean, terrible pricing there. Any other that stuck out to you that you like, though?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you can kind of look around. You're going to see guys in all sorts of different orders on some of these sites. Someone like Sergio is a little more playable there.
Roberto Castro, who we mentioned as well.
Roberto Castro, Luke List, 9,500. I thought that wasn't bad. He's 33 on Yahoo. Not too bad. But obviously, I mean, you said it. Aaron Wise at 85
He
is
broke the FanDuel slate.
it's just ridiculous.
Yep.
Yeah, Roberto Castro, that's a good one. He's 82. He's the min on Yahoo at 20.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's definitely a good one for.
So
How about Harold Varner on Yahoo if you have it right in front of you? What?
yeah, I don't really love him there. He's 27, which isn't awful, but at the same time, Yahoo, you're able to get
Roberto Castro at min
so
price. Yeah.
I on FanDuel you can really be more aggressive. Like I got Rory and another top end guy, no problem.
Oh yeah, I think I did a lineup that I was comfortable with, and I got 4 of the guys. To be completely honest with you, it's just if you go down to a Harold Varner who's 7,900, or you get a Chip McDaniel who's kind of that price as well. Yeah, I mean, I think there's plenty of more opportunity on FanDuel to stack that kind of.
Yeah, Burns is $22 on Yahoo.
Oh, I would, I actually can't play Yahoo, believe it or not. I'm in Florida. But my friends that I play in that play in Rhode Island, I tell them to certainly look at these.
That's a good
one of them at $22. That I certainly would be focused on. Let's see, anybody else? Hideki Matsuyama on FanDuel and Jason Day are both just about $800, $900. But actually, I shouldn't really bring that up too much because the stars are really cheaper on FanDuel, and we've talked about that. So yeah, like Rory's only $700 difference from one to the other. But that's just how FanDuel works it. That's what they want. They want a difference from DraftKings, and they got it, and that's how they do it. I'm for it. I like it, and I think I've told you that. Let's just see if there was any other names that I wanted to throw out there at you. I actually don't think there is this week. We covered the Cameron Davis.
that guy.
Yeah, jeez. Bothers me. Tom Lovelady, who I talked about, he's here on the sponsors exemption, so maybe he's got something to prove. I got it. This is a blast from the past, and only I'm going to say from the past because you went through a stretch of betting against this guy every week, and then it finally started paying off, and now he's been
Cam Champ.
Now he just withdraws all the time. But here we go again with Cam Champ. Looks like people are going to play him this week. 5% owned. Are you?
No, I'm not. I'm not. And it's not even – I actually think this would be a pretty good spot for him. I'm just a little skeptical that he can just get right back in it.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a wait and see. It's like Pat Perez in a way. It's like, oh, Pat Perez, I thought you ruptured your Achilles. Now you're just in the field. A little skeptical of that.
I'm not going to go. And we shouldn't maybe overstress the distance too much. I think in my mind, I'm using it as a detractor, but we shouldn't take away that, Ricky Fowler is not really a top in driving distance, but this is a great course for him. It's 7,500 is the yardage, so it's not overly long here. It's not like we're playing Aaron Hills at 7,800 or shooting Bethpage, what we're going to see in 2 weeks at 7,600 and longer. So we've got an awesome stretch of golf coming up. I think it's really important that, we start to focus on these guys. We've got 2 majors coming up in a span of like 4 weeks. It's insane.
Wild.
I see no reason why DraftKings isn't going to put out the Millionaire Maker for both. The contest this week, we just got a $60K secondary for the Wells Fargo. Tiger's obviously given this a bump. So a great time to get into golf if you guys haven't gotten in yet. It's a fantastic time. Ben and I have content pretty much seriously throughout almost every single day of the golf week. Ben on Friday comes out on the betting show with Jordan and gives you plenty of content, gives some in-round plays, which has proven to be pretty fruitful this year. CT Pan was a nice live one last week. So anything else before we get out of here that you want to touch on? Kind of just covered the content that we got coming up. Some definitely.
No. Yeah, it's a great time for golf. I needed that bye week, even though we did some Euro, which was a really fun show. Actually, I'm glad we did that.
Yeah, me too.
But it's a good stretch. We're going to be coming out with a lot of things. We're going to be doing some things for the majors. Hot takes. That's all we got left. What do I want to say?
Yeah, what did I say last week? I forgot.
I don't even remember. Europe is just the entire. I probably said something about.
You know what? I think I got Crocker because I was on.
Yeah,
I might have nailed him. If any of our watchers that is not a member can recall both of our hot takes from last week, I will sponsor them for a free membership to Awesemo for the month for the golf product. If you're not already a member, like I said, you go get our hot takes from last week, and you got it on me. So go ahead and do that. If not, let's go this one. We can't use Sam Burns because I was going to use him, but he's going to be
using Fratelli. Fratelli's going places.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Wyndham Clark, who's one of our other boys. I think he's another top 10 this week and continues to find his groove on tour.
I like that. I have them paired in lineup, so I hope we're both right.
Good.
7,400. I really think that's really what this week is about. You've got you said it. It's really weird. You've got some big names, gap, some nice mid-range, gap, some lower tier, and that's it. Like there's weird, not trickle down type pricing. So people are going to be funneled. Try to differentiate and be cognizant of that. Ownership. We got to be careful in a week like this.
For sure. All right, one last one actually. I'm going to go with McDaniel gets himself into the web.com finals. I just think it's a great story. We've literally only seen TJ Vogel do it recently. I think it'd just be a really good story. We need to get to the comments. So all right. All right, I think we can get out of here. Next week we've got it's kind of a boring week. It's not the greatest. It's the Texas the AT&T Byron Nelson. So it's not a bad course. I'm sure contest sizes will be pretty good. And then we've got Bethpage. And if you guys don't know golf that well, it's up in Ben's neck of the wood out in Long Island. It is one of the best courses around. It is a public golf course. Anyone can go play. Ben can go play it for $50. The same course, the same tees that our guys are going to be teeing up for a major here coming 2 weeks. I played it once in my life. I can't wait to talk about it with Ben. It's going to be a great week. It's going to be probably the best field of the year. We're going to get over 100 golfers, which will definitely make it a lot harder than we saw at the Masters, which is great. So stay tuned for that content. And until the AT&T Byron Nelson, where Jordan Spieth will probably be back on the field. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining. Of course, like button, subscribe, and
absolutely.
We'll see you guys. Cheers.
Good luck.